Well, the good news is I don't have to rake this weekend. Hey everybody, how's it going, eh? It's your friend Todd, the Cheap Drums Guy. Long time no see, eh? Yeah. Well, been kind of busy. My wife's had a surgery about 5 years ago. She fell down the stairs, and no, I did not push her. I get that a lot. She ended up breaking her ankle on one of her legs and her foot on the other as she came in contact with the wall at the bottom of the stairs. She got a number of plates and screws put in her ankle, and she was also came down with something called CRPS, which is chronic regional pain syndrome, which is your sympathetic nervous system is all jacked up. It really doesn't know what's going on, and so it constantly tells her that something is wrong with her foot, and it causes her a great deal of pain. Well, a few months ago, we started to notice two little bumps on her ankle, and the screws are actually starting to back themselves out, or a couple of them were. And that was causing her issue because she really couldn't wear anything on that foot, like boots or whatnot. And it is winter out. In discussions with their doctor, they just decided it was best just to take it out. So yesterday, took her up to the surgery center, where I spent a lovely 4 hours waiting for her to go in and spend less than 15 minutes in surgery. And I was surprised because for some strange reason my wife wanted to keep everything they removed from her. I'm like, ugh, that's kind of gross. I'm going to have this tumor pulled out and I want to keep it and take it home and call it Fluffy. Well, it's not like that, of course. But they removed 5 screws and a long stainless steel plate. And they cleaned it all up and sanitized it, of course, and then put it in a bag for us. It was just interesting to see. I didn't think she had that much hardware in there. But she's upstairs in her bedroom recovering now, and she was able to walk out of the surgery center, so I was pretty impressed with that. What else has been going on? Well, lots of stuff's been going on. Well, as you can see by the one video, how I was complaining that I had to rake my large lawn now. Well, it seems I really don't have to do that. Last night when I was up watching videos, it started snowing, and woke up this morning to a foot of brand new snow. Well, I don't have to rake, but I do have to go out and shovel. I already shoveled a spot off for the dogs because those lazy little turds wouldn't leave the front door and peed all around the front door and then came back in. So I shoveled that off, and I got to go shovel the driveway later. So I'm a pretty stubborn guy. Last month I was toying with the idea of getting or taking lessons or getting a drum coach and try to help me in areas that I'm really lacking. And because I'm right-handed dominant and my left really lacking, I spend most of my time, if I get anything somewhat intricate or difficult to play, I utilize my right and not my left. I don't incorporate it as much as I should, and even when I cross over and I'm hitting a cymbal on my right side with my left, it looks absolutely ridiculous half the time. So I thought, well, I probably should get a practice pad, which I should. It's something in the back of my mind, and I'm probably going to order soon while I'm upstairs. I have another snare stand. I can just mount it, or I can just put it on my lap and just practice rudiments. Yes, practice rudiments. I know I said I'm not going to do it, but, in order to become somewhat more ambidextrous, I'm going to have to do it. I tried doing it on the snare. It's a little loud, and she can hear the snare upstairs, and I don't want her to spend her evenings listening to all night. It's just not a, so I will get a practice pad. I remember a lot from growing up, and one one event from elementary school. My God, it was probably fourth or fifth grade. I was very young. It's always stuck out. I've always remembered it because it was a scene of great embarrassment for me. That I was on the playground during recess, and I was doing something with my right hand, and the kids were playing, and a ball came towards me, and I picked up the ball with my left hand, and the kids were saying to throw it back to them, and they were too far away for me to throw it underhand to them, so I opted to throw it overhand. Well, that didn't go that well. As I threw with my non-dominant hand, the ball only went a few meters before it hit the ground. And it seemed like at that point in time, everything stopped on the playground and everybody turned to look at me throwing the ball with my left. Well, a lot of people saw that. And it didn't go over well for my reputation because of my style and the way I threw it. I was known, for a lack of a more proper term, people called me a fancy lad for a little while. Well, something much, much worse, but I've got to watch what I say on YouTube sometimes. I do have a big mouth. But I didn't look good in a lot of people's eyes because of that for a couple of weeks. But I didn't have to worry about it after that because generally I never really used my left unless I was in support of my right. In the military, it's a little bit different because you have to be somewhat more ambidextrous. Generally, when you qualify with your weapons, since I'm right-hand dominant, I would qualify with pistol with my right hand, qualify with rifle with the right hand. Could I turn around and use my left to qualify with pistol and rifle? Probably not, especially with the rifle. It'd be a lot more difficult because of extended ranges. But through drills and practice, I was able to get to a point with the pistol and rifle where, if need be, I can switch, like possibly around a right-hand corner. I can switch to my left and be able to do what I needed to do with my left effectively. It's a little bit different than with the drums. So this is going to be interesting. I don't know exactly what to expect. I don't think it's going to look really pleasing. It's going to probably embarrass me a little bit. But, you know, in order to improve, I've got to do something. And is this taking it a bit far? Just a little bit. I mean, there are other ways to help improve your non-dominant hand. Of course, my left side of my body is controlled by the right side of my brain, which still seems to be at a college party. You know, it hasn't really stopped. But there are other ways to work on being more ambidextrous. And that is just mainly things you do on a daily basis. Brushing your teeth with your certain hand. Well, if you switch and use your other hand for a couple of weeks. Things like that. There are all sorts of things that you primarily do with your dominant hand. And if you were to switch and use your non-dominant, it's a more effective way to do it, a more natural way. I'm kind of forcing myself into a real difficult situation because I'm not just using my left as my right hand. I also have to change my legs around as well. Some people said, well, why don't you just try open-handed drumming? Well, it's actually a really good idea. However, I'm going to try to do everything at once. I'm trying to reprogram myself a little bit. If I can do a complete turnaround, switch the hemispheres of my brain around to act differently, maybe, well, hopefully it'll help. Maybe it'll help. It probably won't help. And it's sure to embarrass me. So we're going to try it anyways to see where it leads me. And I'll give it a go for about 2 weeks. And then I'll switch back to right-handed and I'll see the results. And then I'll promptly shut down my YouTube channel.
What a fancy lad!
Holy crap, I am not comfortable with this. Oh. Where is it? Wow, this is going to be weird. Check this out. Yeah. Broke another one. This is one of those Vic Firth Freestyle, the 17-inch sticks, which I really love these things. These are really nice. I don't seem to miss the cymbals as much, but I did break the tip off this one. And this one's looking a little worse for wear. So that kind of taught me to get my hi-hat in a better spot and to hit my cymbals a little differently, because I don't want to wear out drumsticks that fast. But I really like those 17-inch sticks. The big 2Bs are still kind of hard to get used to. They seem so short and stubby. It's just kind of weird. My favorites are still the 5Bs though, but I do like the 17 inches, and I wish I could get them in a little heavier stick. But anyways, so I was going to set up the Olympic in this fashion, but I figured the green one would be a little easier to do, and my comfort zone is not in a happy place right now. Wow, it's just, it feels completely foreign. It was telling me to use the bass drum. Oh, yeah. I think the hardest part of this is the hi-hat and the bass drum. That's going to be the most difficult thing for me. But let me try a simple beat out. What song? Well, easy. Just to start, the Gimme All Your Lovin'. It's a pretty simple beat, and I just got to remember, the hands shouldn't be that much of a problem, but the feet are definitely going to cause me an issue. So, but, you know, there's no other way I can get around it. I'm already here, might as well get it done. And if I improve with anything just a little bit, it's all worth it. Well, let me see. Okay. I just got to make sure okay. Oh, this is going to be start with the right. This time I have to start with the left. Wow, that is freaking weird. hard to get the consistency with that left because it's not doing what it thinks it should be doing. You know, I was messing around with that double bass. I mess around with that double bass drum pedal as much as I can when I remember to use it. And I thought that would help me out with this, but wow, this is going to be very difficult. The one thing I'm noticing that my right hand automatically wants to take the lead, and I can't do that. I've got to figure out some way. I wonder if it would be more I'm going about this the wrong way with all four limbs doing something completely different. Maybe I should have just started off with one hand. Just work on the left, or like people had suggested, try an open-handed style, which makes a lot of sense. But I really need to work on my left foot as well, and my right, doing different jobs. I'm almost wondering if it would be better for me to practice songs just using my left hand and my left foot, well, on my right, holding the hi-hat down, but alleviating using the right hand for playing the snare. Just be completely dominant with the left and just leave the right alone and out of this. Wow. This is going to be a very difficult week. I think it'd probably be best just to start slow. You see what I'm getting at? Yeah. This is going to take some time. I think I'm just going to more or less keep my right hand in my back pocket and just try everything with the left. I mean, if I really overly force the left into it and alleviate the right, I'm not going to confuse my body or my brain to what it's doing, because if it doesn't have the right to utilize, it'll just use the left. Now, as far as the bass drum and hi-hat goes, maybe if I just keep the hi-hat locked close and just not use my right foot at all, just use my left hand and my left foot, I think that might be, or that might make for an easier transition into this, because I can already see the left side of my brain is, I don't know, it's either on crack or it's partying or it's still hungover and it's not really paying attention what I'm trying to ask it to do. It has no clue what I'm asking it to do, and my left isn't much better. So this is going to be an interesting week. Hopefully I can do a video, or hopefully I can do my next video where I've got myself to the point playing like this where I actually can do a drum cover playing left-handed. I highly doubt it, but we'll try her anyways. But anyways, I've got a lot of work to do, and I'm way over my head. So I'm gonna work on this a little bit, then I gotta go out and shovel a foot of snow out of my driveway again. But anyways, glad you guys came back to watch. Glad you're here. I missed you guys with every shot so far. And hopefully we can keep this up a little bit longer. I can find more things to do. And I do have a couple of projects I want to try. Before I go, I'll let you know, well, my big 14x8 Premier 14-inch tom to snare conversion that I bought, which I previously thought was a resonator snare, which is not. I am probably going to switch the snare strainer out on that, put an actual Premier one on there. And the strainer I take off on my Pearl set, that 13-inch tom that I added to it, it has rims mount, does not have actual mount into the shell. And I thought, well, I don't have a 13-inch snare. So I thought, well, I really don't use that 13-inch tom much. So I thought, well, why don't I take the parts that I take off the Premier 14x8 and I make another snare drum. I've never done something like that. So I think that's another thing I'm going to do, and that'll get me, my God, that's got to be a 10-inch deep tom, 10-inch at least. That's going to be a real loud, thuddy snare. But that'll be a really interesting project, I think, for the fact that, you know, a lot of people's snares wear out after a while, especially if you had a really cheap one. Like, you know, I've gone through 2 really cheap snare drums. But when you can take a tom like that and make your own, even, you know, something really cheap like that, and it works, you know, it boosts your motivation level up quite a bit, and it makes you feel kind of proud, even though it's something kind of, you know, it's not building a freaking rocket and going to the moon, but it's still a neat little accomplishment. And I do get a kick out of my little project sometimes. It's like, I made that. Looks like ass, but I made it. But so that's what's coming down. Fixing up a Premier snare with the crap throw off, put a better strainer on there, and making a 13. What's the depth on that? God, it's got to be at least a 10-inch. So it'll be like a 13x10 snare. Oh, she's gonna be a loud girl. And that black wrap's got to come off. Maybe I'll stain it with the color. Yeah, it'll be kind of cool. But anyways, I'm gonna get on out of here, and I'm going to keep trying with this, and hopefully see what I can come up with. But I think it's all going to boil down to the fact that I probably need a practice pad, and probably the best way to learn things. Rudiments, although I have no desire to practice rudiments, they're very important, and it would probably help me a lot more than what I'm doing now. But, you know, how will I know if I don't experiment? So I'm going to give this a try for a little while and see where I leave off with it. And if it works, you'll see the fruits of the labor. If it doesn't, I'll forget about it, and I'll get rid of this video, delete the video, so we'll just never talk about this again, shall we? But anyways, I'm Todd, the Cheap Drums Guy, and thanks for hanging around, and thanks for the kind comments in regards to my wife's surgery. I really appreciate it. You people have a good day.